Order does not begin with the grand or the magnificent, it begins with the smallest, most humble of actions. People often imagine that to change their lives they must make sweeping transformations overnight, but that is a dangerous illusion. The truth is that profound change is built, brick by brick, through the tiniest of consistent habits. Think about how you clean a room. You don't conquer chaos by some heroic effort in one moment, you pick up one object, then another, and soon the entire space is transformed. What was once disorderly begins to take on a structure, and from that structure, a new sense of possibility arises. That is what your life is like. Every small action, every repeated choice, every habit, however insignificant it may seem, becomes the architecture of order. The difference between someone who lives in perpetual frustration and someone who slowly crafts meaning is not luck, or even intelligence, but the willingness to tend to the smallest daily actions. If you get up and make your bed, you have already imposed order on chaos. If you write a single page a day, you have written a book in a year. If you choose to exercise for 10 minutes, that discipline begins to spill into how you eat, how you sleep, and even how you speak. Each of these tiny acts is a vote, not just for what you do, but for who you are becoming. The trap people fall into is believing that small acts don't matter. They look at their life, overwhelmed by the enormity of what they want to fix, and so they give up before they begin. But what they fail to see is that those micro-choices are not just moments, they are seeds. When consistently nurtured, they grow into forests of order and meaning. The smallest step forward is infinitely more powerful than standing still, because it sets a trajectory, and trajectory is everything. So the question is not, can I change my life all at once? The question is, what small act of order can I establish today? Do that one thing, do it consistently, and watch how the structure begins to spread into the rest of your existence. From the smallest actions, order emerges, and from order, the foundation of a life worth living is built. Every habit you form is not just an action, it is a decision about the person you are becoming. We often imagine habits as small, mechanical routines, brushing your teeth, checking your phone, drinking water, but beneath them lies something deeper, something moral. Each choice you make, repeated over time, is shaping your identity in ways you might not even notice. If you choose laziness today, you are not simply skipping a task, you are becoming the kind of person who avoids responsibility. If you choose discipline today, you are not just getting something done, you are sculpting yourself into someone who can be trusted, by yourself and by others. This is why the smallest habit carries such weight. You cannot separate your actions from your character. They are intertwined. Who you are is revealed not in your intentions, not in your wishes, but in what you do consistently. People say, it's only a small thing, it doesn't matter. But that's never true. Every repetition reinforces a pattern, and patterns are the threads from which the fabric of your life is woven. That is why it matters whether you write one sentence when you said you would, whether you go for that short walk, whether you hold your tongue when anger rises. Each time you do, you strengthen the moral muscle of discipline, of patience, of courage. The danger of ignoring this truth is subtle. If you tell yourself the little actions don't matter, you give permission for small failures to accumulate. Soon, they compound into something much larger, a life that feels fragmented and unsteady. But if you respect the weight of small habits, you begin to realize that every act is a moral decision, a choice that either elevates or diminishes who you are. When you align your small daily choices with the person you want to become, life starts to feel less chaotic. You begin to trust yourself because you can see the evidence of consistency in action. And when you can trust yourself, others begin to trust you too. That is how character is built, slowly, habit by habit, action by action, choice by choice. Your habits are not just practical tools for productivity, They are the moral compass of your identity, pointing you either toward order and meaning or toward disorder and regret. Consistency carries with it a power that is often invisible at first, but over time it reveals itself as nothing short of transformative. Think of a single drop of water falling onto a stone. One drop makes no difference, 10 drops hardly change anything, but over years, the persistence of that water carves valleys into rock. That is the power of repetition. The human mind underestimates what can be accomplished through steady effort, because we crave quick results, visible proof, instant transformation. Yet the truth is that the most profound changes are those that grow quietly, in the background, compounding day after day. When you repeat a habit, even a small one, you set into motion a force that compounds far beyond the initial act. Writing a paragraph a day becomes a book. Saving a small amount consistently grows into financial freedom. Training a little each day transforms into strength, endurance, and resilience. What seems insignificant in the moment becomes monumental over time, because consistency multiplies results exponentially. The danger lies in impatience. People give up because they can't see immediate progress, but the law of consistency doesn't operate on the timeline of emotion. It works silently, building momentum beneath the surface, until one day the results are undeniable. And when they arrive, people call it luck or talent, but it is neither. It is the compounded power of consistent effort. If you understand this truth, you will no longer be discouraged by small beginnings. You will recognize that each day you keep the promise to yourself, you are adding another drop to the stone, another brick to the foundation, another vote for the future you want. Consistency is the quiet engine of transformation, and once it starts, its power cannot be stopped. Life is a constant negotiation between chaos and structure, and the battlefield is your daily routine. When you live without consistency, chaos seeps in quietly. It starts with small things, the undone task, the delayed decision, the ignored responsibility. One by one, they pile up until the weight of disorder becomes overwhelming. And when that happens, you feel anxious, restless, even resentful, because deep down you know you've allowed chaos to claim ground that should have been guarded by structure. Structure, on the other hand, does not emerge by accident. It is built deliberately through repeated actions, through tiny habits that draw invisible boundaries against disorder. Waking up at a certain time, planning your day, keeping promises to yourself, these may seem mundane, but they are acts of resistance against chaos. Every time you follow through, you impose order on your environment, and that order feeds back into your mind. A clean room sharpens your focus, a written plan steadies your emotions, a consistent routine grounds your energy. It is not the habit itself that matters most, it is the structure it represents, the shield it provides against the storm of life's unpredictability. But there is always tension. Too much structure and life becomes rigid, suffocating. Too much chaos and life dissolves into disorder. The key is balance. Enough structure to create stability, enough openness to allow for growth and possibility. Consistent habits are what hold that balance in place. They give you a framework sturdy enough to stand on, yet flexible enough to adapt when life demands it. When you choose inconsistency, you don't just break a routine, you surrender ground to chaos. But when you practice small, consistent habits, you're not just being disciplined for the sake of it, you are building a fortress of structure that keeps chaos at bay. And within that fortress, you find freedom to think clearly, to act with purpose, and to live with a sense of meaning rather than drowning in disorder. The battle will never end, but the daily discipline of structure ensures that chaos never rules you. Every decision you make today is not simply about the present moment, it is a negotiation with the person you are going to become. Your future self is waiting, shaped by the choices you either embrace or neglect right now. When you decide to stay consistent with even the smallest habit, you are casting a vote in favor of that future version of yourself, the one who is stronger, wiser, healthier, more capable. When you give in to laziness, avoidance, or indifference, you are robbing that future self of potential. It's as if you are sitting across the table from who you could be, bargaining over the kind of life they will inherit. Think about it. The self you are 5 years from now will be the sum total of the actions you repeat daily. You can either be someone who looks back with pride, grateful for the discipline you practiced, or someone who feels resentment, knowing that inconsistency chained you to the same problems you face today. The choice is not abstract, it is happening in every small moment you live. Skipping that habit may feel harmless now, but it accumulates. Keeping that habit may feel insignificant now, but it compounds. This is why consistency matters so deeply. It is not about forcing yourself into rigid discipline for no reason, it is about making an investment in your own future. Each habit you repeat is like depositing into a bank account, and one day, you or your children, or those who depend on you, will have to live off the balance you've built. If you invest nothing, there will be nothing to draw from. But if you invest daily, even in the smallest ways, the interest will astonish you. When you fail to act consistently, you are not just disappointing your present self, you are betraying your future self. And when you succeed in being consistent, you are not only achieving something today, you are honoring the person you are becoming. The question you must ask is simple. When you meet your future self, will they thank you for the habits you chose, or curse you for the ones you ignored? The habits you practice are never confined to you alone. They ripple outward, touching the lives of those around you in ways you may never fully see. Every consistent action, every small discipline, becomes a signal to the world about who you are, and that signal influences others, your family, your friends, your coworkers, even strangers who cross your path. Just as a stone dropped in a pond sends waves across the entire surface, your habits spread beyond your own life, shaping the environment in which others live and grow. If you live in disorder, people around you feel it. A parent who cannot maintain discipline often passes chaos to their children. A leader who neglects consistency creates instability for their team. A friend who avoids responsibility weighs down those who depend on them. Inconsistency does not stay private, it multiplies, spilling into the lives of others. The same, thankfully, is true of structure and discipline. When you practice consistency, you bring stability to the people connected to you. A parent who lives with order raises children who trust the world around them. A leader who models discipline inspires others to aim higher. A friend who can be relied upon becomes a source of strength in difficult times. This ripple effect is not limited to those you know. It can move through generations. Your consistent habits, your work ethic, your commitment to health, your daily practices, can create traditions that echo long after you are gone. Think of families where discipline is woven into the culture. Children grow into adults who pass those same values forward. The opposite is also true. Inconsistency can echo through generations as patterns of dysfunction, laziness, or chaos. What you do daily may seem small, but its consequences stretch far beyond your lifetime. There is something almost quantum about this ripple effect, because the smallest actions can influence vast outcomes. You may never know who is watching you, who is learning from your example, who is quietly adjusting their own behavior because of something consistent you did. One kind word spoken daily to a child can shape their self-worth for decades. One disciplined act in your community can spark a movement others decide to join. The significance of your habits is not just in what they do for you but in the way they radiate outward into the world.